Alright, it's time for another update and forecast on the Oak Fire in Mariposa County. Throughout this video, we're going to look at where some of that smoke was coming off of the fire throughout the day today. We're going to check out the updated numbers as well as some of the updated evacuation orders. We're also going to look at where there is still some heat on this fire, and then the fire weather forecast to predict how this fire is going to continue to spread in the future, if it is going to spread at all. So we'll just start off by looking at the satellite imagery. First thing that I notice, actually there's two things I noticed right off the bat. One, how many clouds we had over the Sierra today. We'll look at that over the fire in a second. But then also, not much smoke coming off of this fire. You certainly still see it right there. It's a little easier to see at the beginning where those clouds haven't moved in yet. But clearly, not even close to as much smoke as we were producing in some previous days where we had that smoke reaching all the way up to Tahoe and then creating pyrocumulus clouds. Definitely minimal activity throughout the day today. Now, if we actually want to see some of that moisture moving through, this is the exact same camera that we'd been looking at throughout the lifetime of this fire, where we'd see the huge smoke plumes going up this ridge right here. Not seeing any of that smoke activity throughout the day today. Actually, just some beautiful conditions with those clouds and all that moisture pushing through. Now, with that being said, we did still have some dry conditions out there. It at least was a little more moisture in the atmosphere than previous days where our relative humidity was in the single digits. So when it comes to those updated numbers for the Oak Fire, it is up to 18,715 acres. Key thing, let's see when this is up. Last updated 3:54 p.m. So that's relatively recently. And that wasn't a big increase from yesterday. I'm not exactly positive what it was yesterday during our last update, but I believe it was something like 18,400 acres. So there hasn't been much growth recently. But if we actually want to just look at that another way and prove that, we can look at the fire perimeter and we can turn off some of the recent days here just to track the growth over the lifetime of the fire. That yellow color is July 22nd. That red color is July 23rd. You notice just how much this grew right off of the bat. I believe in the first 48 hours, or it might have even been the first 24 hours, it was already over 10,000 acres. So lots of growth initially. Then on the 24th, we still had decent amount of growth towards the northeast, and then on that southeast, or the eastern portion of the fire as well. On the 25th, most of that new growth was right on this northeastern section right there. I believe that was due to that one flare-up that we were talking about a couple of days ago. And then most recently, so this doesn't exactly take in the growth we had throughout the day today, but it's as of this morning's flight data. But there wasn't that much growth throughout the day today, so this is going to be close to accurate for where the fire is now. Notice where that new growth was. Still on the north and northeastern sections of the fire, but really not all that much. Then if we want to actually zoom in here, key places that we're concerned about is right here where you see some of these structures in here. Let's see, that's on Scott Road. That's one of the main places that we were concerned about with this fire, but you notice how the fire just curved right around that, which is, again, not a coincidence. It's due to all the amazing work that's been done on this fire. And I do just want to make one correction there from yesterday. Yesterday, I specifically thanked CAL FIRE for all the amazing work that they've done, and I will do that again. But somebody pointed out in the comments that there's a lot of cooperating agencies on this that you can see in that list right there. I can't read them all, but thank you to all the agencies involved, not just CAL FIRE. So wanted to make sure that I corrected that. Now, when it comes to that growth again, let's see if I can turn it off and on just so we could see right around that area with the structures. Not much new growth directly pushing closer towards those structures, which is good to see. Then when it comes to the containment, that I do remember what that was yesterday. It was 26%. Now it's up to 32%. That's good to see. If we actually want to see where that containment is, the red line represents where the fire is still considered uncontained. The black line is where it is considered contained. Most of that containment on the southern and southwestern portion of this fire, that's where most of the evacuation orders that have been lifted have been from. Then if we want to actually just look at those evacuation orders that have been lifted, that was the most recent update that we had. Some more evacuations have been downgraded to advisory. So key thing there is that some. We do still have some evacuation orders in place shown in that red color there, but it's once again good to see that we're moving in the right direction when it comes to this fire. If you want to have access to this map, again, never just look at this and assume that's currently what's going on. We know how fast fires can change, so the link to that map is in the description of this video. Then back to the CAL FIRE website. Let's check out the resources on this. 22 helicopters, 286 engines, 94 dozers, 68 water tenders. This number is up about 150 from yesterday. 3,154 personnel and 66 crews. Now, this is where some of the bad news comes in. This number is also up from yesterday. We now have 9 structures damaged on this fire and 74 structures destroyed. I believe yesterday this was at 41. Key thing that I'll point out is that doesn't mean we had 33 structures destroyed yesterday. It most likely just means that they had damage assessment crews come out and then they were able to figure out some of this or count the number of structures that had actually burned in the past. We weren't seeing all that much active behavior yesterday, so I'd imagine the increase in this number was actually due to the growth that we had 3 or 4 days ago. Now, I think with that being said, just thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who has been affected by this fire. I would say this is definitely the biggest fire that we have seen this season, and I know how hard it can be when you're doing evacuations or wondering if your house has been destroyed or if it has. So again, thoughts and prayers go out to everybody out there who's been affected by the Oak Fire and any other wildfires this season. So I think this information we pretty much covered all that. One thing that I do want to point out here is as of this morning, so this was as of 7 a.m., they should do another update in about an hour, but I won't be able to cover that one. But I did just want to point out that there is still 1,138 structures threatened on this. So even though I'm going to be saying a lot of things throughout this video that's good news, and I'm happy to say it, the fire isn't over by any means. And the last thing the agencies working on this want to happen is everybody to go back in thinking the fire's over, even though there's still some orders in place. There's still a lot of work to be done on this fire. And I think this sentence sums it up. Crews continue work around communities, patrolling for hotspots, providing structure defense, and building of direct fire line in very steep and rugged terrain. So we're moving in the right direction, but there is still some work to be done. Now, something else we can do is see where some of those current hotspots are on this fire. First thing I noticed, less hotspots than we had yesterday. That kind of ties in with that smoke that we're seeing. Not as much smoke as yesterday, and yesterday didn't really have all that much smoke. So still moving in the right direction there, although we do still have some of that heat, especially on that northeastern section of the fire. One other way to look at that is look at the all satellites. Whenever you have those squares, it just means that the satellites are still picking up some of that heat. That doesn't mean that it's grown that far. The boxes always over-exaggerate how much fire is actually going on. So I'll just click back to here. Key thing that I want to point out, we'll zoom in. Actually, no, we can't zoom in there. Key thing I want to point out, let's actually see if we could just do perimeter. Yeah, that'll actually allow us to see exactly the point I'm trying to make right here. Remember earlier I said that the fire curved around the structures? These are the structures that I was talking about right here. That's the main place that we were worried about on this fire because most of the growth we knew was going towards the northeast. But they were able to just curve this fire right around those structures, and it seems like a lot of the lines that they've put in here to protect this community has been holding, so that's a good sign right there. Now finally, I just want to see how much farther we've gone into the Ferguson burn scar. Interesting to see that it has continued to push into the Ferguson burn scar, not only on the northern section, but that northeastern section. What that tells me is the Ferguson must not have cleared out all of the fuels in this area in 2018, because clearly there is still fuel for the Oak Fire to burn in here. Amazing looking at, I believe that's Jersey-Dale right there, how the Ferguson and the Oak have just circled that community, which is actually going to be great for the future because it's almost like building a protective barrier around your community, going to be much, much safer in the future because a lot of those fuels have been cleared out. Now, when it comes to the fire weather forecast today, as I mentioned, our humidity is similar to what it was yesterday, which was more than it was when we were having very active behavior on this fire when relative humidity was in the single digits. So kind of goes along with those clouds that we were seeing throughout the day today, although definitely still dry conditions. To see what's expected tomorrow, actually expecting drier conditions tomorrow. I'm not sure why the map was turning blue right there. 14% relative humidity. Temperatures 92 degrees, so that's definitely still warm and dry conditions. And then when it comes to winds, 22 miles per hour. Pretty much the same that we've seen the last 4 days from that westerly direction, which would try to push the fire towards the east and the northeast. Now, even though that fire weather forecast, by all standards, would be a bad forecast for a fire, low 90s, relative humidity in the teens, strong enough afternoon wind gusts to lead to spot fires, I'm not predicting a big turnaround for this fire, lots of growth tomorrow. Even though those conditions are conducive to active fire behavior, it looks like, when I say this, again, disclaimer on these videos, I'm just as good as the information that I'm able to find from all the different links that I look at, but it looks like this fire is moving in the right direction, and I'm not expecting that progress to turn around anytime soon. And then finally, we're just going to look at air quality. Looks like we do still have that unhealthy for sensitive groups, and then tomorrow, that's expected once again, shown in that orange color there. Much better than it was in previous days, especially around Tahoe when we had that very unhealthy air quality, and then those onshore winds are able to keep that smoke out of the Bay Area. So overall, pretty good progress, or actually I'd say great progress on the Oak Fire. Once again, this will probably be the last time that I report on this one unless there are any major changes. Key reason that I did do another video update today, even though there weren't that many big changes on this, was I did just want to correct that little mistake yesterday, where, again, not just CAL FIRE on this that we should thank, it's all of these cooperating agencies. And once again, I'll just say thank you for all the great work that you've done. So I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching.